Hi, Charles. Give me a second to refresh the room. I'll be right with you. Can you hear me okay? How are you doing tonight? Still waiting on it to refresh. There we go. Almost there. Hi there. Okay, thanks. I was wondering if the sound was okay. Okay. Um, I'm kind of in a weird mood, I guess. Mm. A little more volume. Am I talking too loud? Let me check it out. Hold on. Oops. Is that better? Yeah, I'm a little feeling a little, I don't know, couldn't get anything accomplished today, so it's a little frustrating. And trying to see light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, I know it's there somewhere. Anyway, um, I was thinking today that most of the world is so busy trying to make it, because they've been sold into the dream of the bigger house, the bigger car, the fancier lawn, the $3,000 pocketbooks, $1,000 shoes. Actually, this one guy I used to date, his boots would run like $2,500, ridiculous, um, for one pair. A name to watch for has a troll, Phil Hunt. He trolls. Okay. I had quite a few trolls in the beginning. He might actually already be on my block list. I don't know. But I've actually had some trolls that ended up being decent people, And one was actually funny. I wish he'd call back in. It was comical. He called in once, and I guess he wanted me to get aggravated and holler at him or call him names or whatever, right? And I just said, "God bless you." And he hung up and he called back, and he used a different number, and I said, "God bless you" again. So then another guy, or one of his friends calls in, and it actually was funny. Everybody in the room got a kick out of it. So he had all these different accents, and then he finally he was trying to order a pizza from Domino's Pizza Hut, and he had um, a Russian Arabian accent, and so I played along with him, and told him that I think we had catfish topping for our special for the night or whatever it was. Anyway, he's like, so he calls back and he's like, I want to talk to corporate. So I'm like, okay. He's like, yes, I want to report the Pizza Hut that I just called into. The lady's an idiot. So I'm laughing, like, oh, she's an idiot, huh? It's like, yeah, we have some of those working for us, blah, blah, blah. So I played it. He ended up being really funny. And, um, it was comical. And then one called in. And I mean, he said the most horrible, the worst things you could say to a Christian. And I just kept saying, you know what? God loves you anyway. And he called in like 8 times that night and was belligerent each time. Well, the next night he called in, and of course I recognized his voice, and he's like, "Wait a minute, don't hang up. I just want to talk, and I want to apologize." That's okay. So he apologized, and then he talked, and he apologized again, and he apologized again, and he ended up telling everybody in the room that he loved them. He prayed with us. We said a prayer for him, and it ended up being really nice. Yeah, well, I approach them differently. As some of them, yeah, I'm not going to give them a platform to, for that. So some of them I just won't even answer their calls, or I report them, whatever I have to do. Send their information to my friend. Um, if there's no other way to reach them, but like I said, we actually had some good outcomes from being patient with a few of them. Right, right. So yeah, the one named George in Montana, actually a college student that was bored and frustrated, and he had concerns that he wanted to vent, and I guess he couldn't. I guess he had went to some other Christian channels, and he was treated mean whenever he was, trying to get in the conversation, and oh, he just turned that anger, and took it out on any Christian channel. You're about to leave Lake Charles and go to work in Texas, $30 an hour. Yeah, sure. I know the cost of living can't be much higher anywhere else than it is here. I can tell you that. The I mean, the only places that I can tell you that I know are a little bit higher than here is New York City and LA and maybe DC. But actually, the last time I was in DC, which has been many years now, they were actually the same as we were here, price wise. Hello, Glenn. How are you? I know it got so humid. I was out there. Um, yeah, it was hard to breathe for me too. Um, I went out there and I was trying to, just clean out my car a little. Um, I don't know why. Can't start it. But anyway, I wanted, I was like, well, let me clean it out a little bit. Let me feel like I accomplished something today. And it was so humid. Oh, and it's so humid downstairs. It's humid up in here. And yeah, I didn't think it was that warm, but the humidity is. I could feel my blood pressure in my neck, and I could hear it in my ears. I'm like, yeah, I better get out this heat. It was yeah, the air was suffocating. It was so humid. I don't even think it was that hot. It was just so humid after that rain. So, so back in the day, way back in the day, families used to stick together, and um, like everybody had big farmhouses and farms and whatever. But so they combined their incomes, and they had one large household, which had to save everybody money and time. And then they had the bonds, and they had time to worship Christ. And you know, then everybody decided they wanted to be separate. Everybody's got to have their own, and people split all up. And then so you got 8 people paying 8 different mortgages, struggling, all of them struggling when they could have combined what they had and had a nice big place where everybody had their own space and they had their time together, and they would have had time for more things because they wouldn't be working night and day trying to keep what they have. And the world is just, it's so materialistic, it's crazy. And then, I mean, you're judged by what you have. Other people judge you by what you have or don't have. And you know they don't believe you have intelligence or work ethic, or I mean, so many things they surmise by what you have or don't have materialistic wise. And it's crazy. The world is so caught up in that status quo. That is clearly Satan. I hear you, Charles. Yes, yeah, Glenn. um and I remember that heat wave that hit Chicago a few years back, and all those people died that didn't have AC. I actually love to cook, but I'm a bit spoiled when it comes to that because I like to have all my ingredients. I like to have all my different spices and all my different condiments and all my different veggies and everything that I want to put in it. All my different kinds of cheeses and whatever. Depending on what I'm making, I want to have all. You know, uh, I mean, I cooked on a real tight budget for years. But then when I didn't have to, I found out it was so enjoyable to cook when you could create, dishes that was so much more enjoyable than just cooking because you got to eat. Oh, let me see. Somebody got an alert. Let me just look and see who it is. Where did it go? Make sure it's not a tornado or anything serious. It's a severe thunderstorm in Lunenburg and Prince Edwards. County, Dinwiddie and Nottoway. It's near Brooksville, near Nottoway, to near Loomburg, moving east at 25 miles per hour. And the other one is in Apache, Arizona. Okay. So back to, I haven't even got to the story yet. I don't even want to read it. It's so horrible. But it's also a sign of the times we're in, as Satan runs rampant. So yeah, I know y'all heard about the helicopter that crashed in New York today. I haven't heard much about it yet, other than they said it's not a terrorist thing and yada yada, which was the first thing, when I first saw it on my scanner and popped it up. Um, they had that going on, and then they had a bus driver reporting that some of the manhole covers were, blowing up and down as if there was too much pressure under the ground. Was your sunshine today, from your perspective, white, orange, yellow? Um, it's only white now. It's only been white for a few years now, except if you catch it first rising or when it's setting on the horizon. Same thing with the moon. What color was your sun today? What are you growing about, Charles? Heat wave in the hundreds. Power went out. 1994 in Michigan. Yeah, yeah, because a lot of people don't have ACs in those areas because they normally don't get so hot, or they didn't used to. What time was that there? What time was your sun yellow colored or orange? Because it wasn't that color here. All day? Wow, that's pretty amazing. And you're where again? Are you in North Carolina? Oh, really, Charles? I'll have to look that up. I knew what you meant, sweetheart. I know you meant Peachtree. Oh, in Missouri. Huh. So when the sun was high in the sky at noon, it was yellow. Wow, that is pretty amazing. Maybe there was a little hole in the atmosphere, and you got a clear view for a change versus the rest of us. Because I haven't seen it like that. I see it yellow and orange and red when it's on the horizon setting or rising, but Just like the moon. It starts off red every night till it clears that section of sky. I bet. Did you put them up on your site yet? U.S. broke the. Let's see. U.S. broke. Oh, come on. U.S. broke peace treaty. China's. Um. Alright, it's not showing me anything for today. Right offhand. Right. Yeah, I'd like to see that, Glenn. Okay. Um, Man, I was looking at some stuff on Scientology today. Them people are out there. Um, alright, let me try one more thing. See what the headlines are. Uh, I want to read about Britney Spears. Um, Kim Jong Un's half brother was CIA informant before his assassination. Mysterious large mass discovered on moon bewilders scientists. Um, um, still don't see anything about China. Let me catch up with the room. Oh, really, there? Is that on your channel yet? Um, 79, they made a peace treaty with China, and they said they didn't want Mom becoming their own country. Let me Google it. 1979 peace treaty with China. In 1978, there was a peace treaty between Japan and China. Egypt and Israel conclude peace treaty March 26, 1979. Um, oh yeah, we know that. Definitely getting closer and closer. The year in which began and Sadat signed treaty with British Prime Minister, the Iranian Revolution, Pope John Paul III's fateful pilgrimage, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and the start of the economic reform in China. Um, yeah, I'm confused on that one because the peace treaty of 79 was between Egypt and Israel. Um, the year 79 was also a watershed in the history of ideas before that year. Terms such as political Islam and jihad and deregulation barely figured into global discourse. After 79, it was almost impossible to imagine the world without them. Um, okay. Anyway. So, Charles, where'd you get that from so I can look it up? Because I can't find anything for 79 peace treaty for China. And, so, Judy, how do you broadcast? What does a person need to do what you're doing? Well, you could always use, well, I don't know if they got rid of it yet, the Hangouts thing. Um, or you can download, uh, one of the programs to, run the, run the show. And then you got to set up the stream to match your YouTube stream. And then if you want Skype to be able to take calls, you have to pay for that. And I can't even get them to put the two charges together, so I don't have to pay the extra charge every time they take it off my card. So they take them off separately. 3 days apart. So I get charged uh, by the card and by them. So, but because when I first got it, I went with the cheapest thing first. Thought I was going to be able to use that, but that's only Skype to Skype. You know, you have someone calling you Skype to Skype. But in order to take phone calls from people's regular phones, then you have to pay for a phone number. So since I did them 3 days apart when I first did it, now I have to. They bill it separate, which is okay. But do you have a good Wi-Fi connection where you're at? Because it's going to take a good Wi-Fi. And um, I mean, I think if you run it with like Jeff P does, just with Hangouts, it doesn't take up as much on your computer. But if you run it with one of the programs, yeah, I agree. Oh, you got 5G, huh? And I know they got it here. Pretty sure the bases are using it, but they haven't offered it to individuals yet. But I'm sure we couldn't afford 5G here anyway. I barely ever get even 4G on my phone. It's supposed to be 4G, but it doesn't. I don't ever really get those bars that say that I got 4G. Well, until the data goes down. Once I use up the data, they drop it to like 1.9 or something like that G, and then you can't barely get it to load a web page. And then trying to use your GPS on it is a joke at that point. So it'll tell you a half hour later to make a turn after you've missed it. What's the name of it, Charles? $19.78. What? So am I looking for 1978 peace treaty? 1978 peace treaty. Egypt and Israel. Egypt and Israel. Egypt and Israel. Israel and Egypt. Israel and Egypt. And I guess because they were having talks about it, in 78 before they actually signed it in 79. What was the name of the page besides the year 1978? 'Cause I'm not coming up with anything. Well, let me take out peace treaty. See, 1978 China. 1978 open door policy. Economic reform timeline. Um, okay. Yeah, I still don't see anything about a peace treaty that have anything to do with China for back then. I see where there was an economic reform. Can y'all still hear me? Can you hear me now? Can y'all hear me? Nobody is typing. China-Taiwan conflict. China sees Taiwan as a breakaway province that will eventually be part of the country. Uh, all right. I don't know. Forget the U.S.-China trade war. Is a conflict over Taiwan the real threat? While Americans are focused on the ongoing trade war between the United States and China, the danger is growing of an actual shooting war that could involve Taiwan. Tensions between Taiwan and the People's Republic of China, PRC, are surging to an alarming extent. The latest indicator in the recent exchange of heated rhetoric between General Wei Bing, however you pronounce his name, and China's Minister of National Defense and Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council, policymaking body dealing with cross-strait relations. As Taiwan's self-proclaimed protector, Washington should be extremely worried about these developments. Multicultural Conference on Pacific Security Issues warned against efforts, either in Taiwan or foreign countries, to thwart China's goal of reunification. Moreover, any underestimation of the PLA's resolve and will is extremely dangerous. We added ominously that if anyone dares to split Taiwan and China, the Chinese military will have no choice but to fight at all costs, for national unity. The PLA cannot even safeguard the unity of our motherland. What do we need it for? The Mainland Affairs Council responded with equally harsh and uncompromising language in a statement issued the following day. The Council reasserted that Taiwan has never been a part of the PRC and would never accept Beijing's control or threats. It accused China not only of challenging international norms and order, but added Beijing's claim to seek peaceful development was a lie of the ages. Lest anyone not fully grasp the extent of Taipei's hostility towards the PRC, the statement went on, we need to remind the public that Chinese Communist Party is practicing anti-democracy, anti-peace between the two sides of the strait and further resorting to war. This is the main cause of the tension in the Taiwan Strait and region, and it is the source of danger and provocation against peace and stability. Okay. Yes, it is hard to get a straight answer anymore. Ain't that the truth? But that's you know, kind of sounds like here we're different political parties don't agree, and I mean, we haven't like drawn real borders. I mean, unless you want to count California, kind of drawing their own border as to not be part of the federally funded, so they don't have to go by some of the federal laws. Uh, who knows what to trust though? Because they could be best of friends and could be some kind of diversion tactic. But who knows? The Trump administration doesn't seem to need much prodding. U.S. warships have transited the Taiwan Strait on several occasions over the past year to demonstrate military support for Tapaya, how do you pronounce it? At the Shanghai Love Dialogue session, Acting Secretary of Defense Patrick Shanahan stated that the United States would no longer tiptoe around destabilizing Chinese behavior regarding Taiwan or the South Sea. While Americans are focused on the ongoing trade war between the United States and China, the danger is growing of an actual shooting war that could involve Taiwan. Hey Randy, how are you? Um, your grandma and you both just really? Yeah. Me and some other people were talking about it last year. Like, we have old, like in my car, it has an old regular clock, and it also has a digital one on the radio. But you know how your cell phones and the computers and everything automatically sets the time now? Like even when daylight savings time comes, it automatically sets the daylight savings time. Um, so, if you have a old-fashioned clock, how is it keeping time? Because, oh, that's a beautiful prayer. Thanks, Randy. Nostradamus and the Antichrist. Nostradamus, the effect. Yeah, that's my feeling on Nostradamus. That's all he did is he took scripture and then tried to act like he was a prophet. Okay, Charles. I will look at it later. I'm not going to keep the show going too long tonight. Um, yeah, Nostradamus. And you know what bothers me about that with people that are supposed to be Christians? Yeah, I'll look at it later, Charles. Um, people that are supposed to be Christian. Well, I don't want to say supposed to be Christian, but you have some Christians, I guess, that aren't looking at the big picture, and they're leading people to Nostradamus and his predictions, and like, look, he said this and he said that. And I'm like, wait a minute, why don't you just lead them to the Bible? Because the Bible has all these predictions way more accurate than Nostradamus did, especially because Nostradamus tried to time set things. And he was wrong in 1981 when the world was supposed to end. So that already tells you he wasn't a prophet from God. And anyway, yeah, I have a little pet peeve about that on some of the channels that are leading people to that instead of the scripture for it. Yeah, time is definitely something different about it. So is Dare still with us? I haven't seen him type in a minute. Dare, are you still with us? Dare, 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 Dare. Yeah. Well, he could have. I mean, even Satan will give people the ability to know something or guess at something. A lot of people guess at stuff, and they leave it broad enough to where, well, yeah, somewhere in the world that is going to happen. And, sometime within a month, yeah, somebody's going to get hit with a tornado. And, um, sometime next week or tomorrow, somebody's going to have flash flooding. Sometime within the next year, a big meteor is going to fall somewhere and it's going to be, videotaped. Um, within the next month, there'll probably be another plane crash, so anybody can take any generalized thing and, you know, say it's going to happen and it's going to happen. Like this one prophet that, supposed to be prophet, that predicted Donald Trump was going to be president. And now everybody thinks he's a prophet. And I'm like, okay, that was a 50-50 chance. And it was more than that because we knew a woman wasn't going to get elected president anyway. And especially, the person that was running. Hello, Planet X Watcher. How are you? Blessings to you too. You're a very encouraging person, Planet X Watcher. I appreciate that. Well, see, I don't even know that Nostradamus called himself a prophet. I'd have to research that. I know everybody else tries to call him one. you know, they claim he predicted Napoleon and some other things, but a lot of the predictions you could take that broad prediction and make it fit several things. Um, yeah, and the way he would throw words out there, if that's the way he actually spoke, you know, cat, hair, weather, sun, fire, dog, wheels, wind, red, green, rain, and then somebody takes it and puts those words together to fit something. Really? Okay. Um, that's kind of how I see his thing. It's kind of, I don't know. It's that's just my personal belief. I've never really done the research on him because the very first time I heard about him was when it came across the news when I was pregnant with my daughter that the world was getting ready to end. Well, they didn't think that, but they were like, everybody that, believes Nostradamus, the world's going to end. And this year, that year. And I was like, nah, I'm going to have this baby. And I'm going to watch her grow up. And I cut the TV off and never even heard his name again until I got on YouTube. I didn't care to research him. Now I did, do a little research on Edgar Casey because his museum's here, and he was pretty accurate. But I still have to read his belief on Jesus because that's where I stopped when I didn't like what I was reading. I'll have to go back and read it again because I didn't quite have the discerning abilities that I do now to see how I feel about him. But we know that Scripture tells us that if God sends a prophet, they will be accurate 100% of the time, and it won't be wishy-washy guessing. Well, could it be this? Could it be that? It'll be accurate. And God told us that. We'll know when it's from Him. You videotape demonically possessed person today in Dollar General. You think your new neighbor's kid is possessed? Really? Does the kid have autism? Which could be a form of possession. Back in the days when Jesus walked, when people talked crazy and said weird things and whatever, they were possessed and they would chase the demons out, and then the person would be normal. That's on your page, Randy. I'll have to check that out. My daughter is absolutely, yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. Wow. She'll be 38 on her next birthday. Ever since you've been getting revelation and messages from God, you've been running into people like that left and right. Yeah. Devil testing, yeah. Now, let me look at your thing right quick, Randy. Oops, let me cut my volume down. Come on. Waiting on it to refresh. Whoops. Which one was that? No connection. Try again. Alright, I'm having trouble watching your page for some reason. Why is it telling me no connection? Maybe YouTube is having issues. The channel's still going though, right? Am I buffering on y'all's end? Which which pastor is that, Charles? No connection. Play that. Tap retry. It started and then it won't let me watch it right now. Let's see if I can watch one of your other videos.
Hi guys, June 10th, Monday.
Yeah, I can see this one.
Planning to boot road. Like, look, you can even see these. Just so you know, it's just not one cloud formation.
Yeah, I can watch this
in
one.
the background.
But this one.
So you can see it. They're moving from south. This is what the world's coming to.
Let's see if it'll play this time.
Watch.
Nope. It starts buffering at the same spot. Did you put it on blur to blur the people? Because for some reason it stops before you get to the person and it keeps stopping in the same spot. So I don't know. You have to when you do other people. Well, I mean, there's certain rules about public places, but I don't know. It won't play for some reason. It stops. Anyway, I'll have to try it later because it won't. It will not play that one. Okay, so let me get back to where I was. They fled. They had one girl. And this was a pastor. Yeah, I'll watch it later because it's not, keeps stopping in the same spot for some reason. Your other videos play all the way through, but not that one. Don't know why.
Alright, Brady Phillips planet of Uber.
Yeah, the rest of them play through.
We've got a big tent to it.
Not sure about that one.
This is what the world's coming to. Watch.
Yeah. Maybe it's on. Nope, stops at the same spot. Stops 10 seconds in and won't go any further. Okay, so, yeah, this one I was going to read to y'all. This is just one of the crazy ones. This was a deputy at, a Louisiana deputy was fired after being arrested in connection with the rape of a 1-year-old, according to WAFB. Shadrick Jones, accused of filming the rape of an infant. At St. Gabriel Police Chief Kevin Ambua said, WAFB reported police received a video of a woman sexually abusing an infant. The woman, identified as Laisha Todd, told police that Jones coerced her into performing the act because she had a traffic arrest warrant. She feared being sent to jail. She also reportedly said he wanted her to perform the act because it was his fantasy to see something like that. Todd was arrested and is facing charges of first-degree rape and incest, police said, and Jones was charged with possession of child porn and principal to first-degree rape. Now, there's a million stories. I was actually going to cover them yesterday, but we got on some other topics. But all these people, all these parents killing their children, and all these other horrific things going on with children. Um, it's unbelievable. But anyway, so when I was going to pull up the other stories, that was a news story that had popped up. There was one involving a police officer and a daycare owner. I think that was it was either Virginia or Maryland. I'm thinking it was in Virginia. Um, all right, let me look at the chat. Hey, Spencer of the North. You're lurking, huh? How you doing, Spence, baby? They did busted some pimps. Somebody ripped them off, and they took out on underage girls. Oh, what? Who was the pastor involved with the pimps? Yes, it is, Spence. Crazy times. You're a funny planet watcher. Yeah, Spence, we were looking for you last night. We had a decent show last night. looking for you to come back. And you weren't here. Oh, well, that's good, Charles. Looking like a lion. um, what kind of animals are popular there in Canada? Oh, yeah, I know they got bears. What else y'all got there? I don't think they got any. Y'all have, I guess y'all got mountain lions, don't you? Y'all got mountains. Got mountain lions. I told y'all about that possum that came out to me the other night, like he knew me, like we were best friends. Y'all have everything there. Yeah. Um. All right. Where is? Let's see if I can find these. Oh, here's another sicko. Whoops. Come back here. Child rape videos posted online led to charges of Memphis woman. Louisiana bails bondsman arrested for human trafficking. I had 33 articles I was going to cover with y'all yesterday. No elephants, wolverines. Yeah, I don't think we have elephants here, because of zoos and circuses, but I don't think we have any elephants native to our country. We've imported them. Y'all have some imported somewhere, don't you, for your zoo or something? Or do y'all have some animal laws there to protect them from being used like that? That's a cool looking hat. Oh, come on. Oh, let me take that to the top. Maybe that's why. Okay. Um, oh, wow. A Memphis woman was arrested after police say two videos were posted to social media that showed her raping a 4-year-old child. And, back in the day, you didn't really hear too much. I'm not saying, you know, women don't do bad things like men do, but you just didn't hear of a lot of women doing the stuff that they do nowadays. Just the evilness. Uh, and I'm not saying they were any more innocent than men. It's just, women are doing all the crimes that men are doing almost at the same rate nowadays. The armed robberies, the murders, they're doing all. And Police received a tip Monday about videos being shared online. And how stupid could these sick idiots be? According to officers, the first video showed a woman push a small child to the ground, remove his pants, and perform. Oh man, I don't even want to read this out loud. The second reportedly showed the child attempting to engage in a different act on the same adult female. The woman in the video was identified by police as Tamara Marion. She was arrested Tuesday and charged with rape of a child and especially aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. The relationship between Marion and the child was not released. Man, these people are sick. Satan is so busy. But yeah, they should cast her, they should give her that drug that takes away your sex drive too before she's ever released. Aw. Man protecting his dog is slashed and bitten by a mama bear in a California neighborhood. Car stolen from Chesapeake driveway. Multiple shots fired at owner. Florida man claims cocaine on his nose was not his. uh, okay, let's read the funny story. Man claims the cocaine on his nose wasn't his. I want to read that one. Yeah, I'm glad they're getting busted too. A pastor from Australia. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, Charles. I really don't want to move further away from my daughter, but I'm only 3.5 hours away from her now, and can't seem to get there. So, and basically because of my income. So, yeah, probably move to the other side of the country, and as long as I'm earning a lot more money than I earn here, then I can afford to go see them. 100 degrees there today. I'm not sure what it was here today because I thought it wasn't that hot. So after that rain came and I went out there, it was so humid I could hardly breathe. Story. Florida man claimed cocaine on his nose was not his. I really want to read this one. Hillsborough County, Florida. Come on, let me scroll. Let me move that out of the way for now. And move that out of the way. Hey, come back here. Okay. Oh, come on, I want the funny story. Where'd it go? Come on. Why is it acting up? Anyway, I'd be better off trying to pull it up on my phone and reading it to y'all. Okay. During a recent traffic stop, deputies noticed that the passenger, 20-year-old Fabrico Tourist Jimenez, however you pronounce it, had white powder around his nostrils. According to a news release, a field test came back positive for cocaine. Jimenez had a small bag of powder cocaine concealed on him. Deputies said, and a search of the car turned up a backpack containing 250 grams of marijuana and 13 Xanax. Jimenez was arrested without incident, the sheriff's office said. It's not clear who the driver in the car was. But yeah, that's funny that he said the white powder on the cocaine on his nose wasn't his. Oh, is the room buffering? Looks like it's buffering now. That is comical. It's not mine. It's the wind blew it up in my nose. Anyway, I guess they didn't believe his story. I'm sorry, I just thought that was funny. Haha. And this idiot, Florida man impersonating police, pulls over undercover detective. Man tells police, these aren't my socks, after he finds drugs. After they find drugs in his socks, he says they're not his socks. Anyway, this one's funny. Florida man impersonating police officer pulls over undercover detective. No, they actually tell us here now not to, if it's not a marked police car, if it's an unmarked police car or unmarked car with blue lights, um, you can call the dispatcher before you pull over and tell them that you got a car with lights trying to pull you over, and keep them on the phone, and they'll tell you where to go. And then they'll tell you, they'll know if it's an officer of theirs actually trying to pull you over, because they're actually supposed to radio it in. Yeah, well, that's if you can. Yeah, I used to have people follow me. I used to have stalkers when I was young. And that's what I would do. I'd pull into a police station. But now, if it's a police actually trying to pull you over and the police station's far away, they can get pretty angry if you don't pull over. So the best thing to do is to call 911 and let them know that you got a car trying to pull you over and you're not sure that it's a police officer. One of the ladies that I used to know at the bar told me about this guy that pulled her over, and she said she didn't think he was a cop. He didn't give her a ticket or anything, but she didn't think he was a cop. But one of the cops that I dated years ago, I had stopped at the gas station to get gas, and I used to have personalized license plates on my car, my truck, and anyway, I had pulled into a service station, went in, got some stuff, come back to the car, and pumped the gas, and there's a policeman sitting there, and he calls me over, and he asked me, was that an I or was that a Roman numeral, Roman numeral 2 and a Roman numeral 1, excuse me. And I said, well, it's supposed to look like a Roman numeral 1, but there are no Roman numerals on Virginia license plates. So you already know that. And then when his computer beeped, I looked at his computer and he already had my address and everything else pulled up. So he knew what my license plate was. I mean, common sense told me he did anyway because there was no such thing as Roman numerals in Virginia. But I used the I as a Roman numeral because I had the same thing on my truck, except I had two I's to be like Roman number 2. But anyway, so um, that's how we started dating. Of course he was like, well, can I have your address and your phone number? I said, well, you already got my address on your computer. And I'm like, nah, I don't give out my number to strangers. Give me your number and I'll check you out. And he was like, oh, well, um, I'm a cop. You can trust me. I'm like, yeah, okay. Anyway, not giving you my number. You give me yours. I'll call you, check you out. So he gave me his number. We dated for about a year. He was a nice guy, but just thought he was kind of, you know, silly, asking me silly questions. And he had already ran my plates. I guess he was, I don't know, looking to see if I was, under Miss or Mrs. or whatever before he tried to talk to me. Who knows? So, anyway, let's see what this crazy Florida man did, pretending to be a cop and pulling over a cop. That's just too funny. Oh, this is Hillsborough County, Florida, too. A Florida man is behind bars after pulling over a real police officer while pretending to be one. Matthew Joseph Harris, 26, was arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer. According to the deputies, Harris turned on red and blue lights Tuesday. Come on, scroll. And pulled over an undercover detective. The detective called 911 to report the bizarre traffic stop, and Harris was arrested a short time later. They found a realistic-looking airsoft pistol inside. Oh, here's one. Virginia Beach police accuse man of impersonating officer pulling someone over while drunk. Okay, so here's a fool. I want to read that one. Here's a fool that was drunk, pretending to be a Virginia Beach officer, and he was pulling people over while he was drunk. People are losing their minds for real in all sorts of ways. Back in the day, though, way back in the day, police officers did get drunk while they were working. Way back, 40 some years ago. And I won't tell you why I know that personally, but I do. Come on, article, pull up already. Why it's taking so long? Because it might be video. Uh-huh. going to be a good picture. And it is video impersonating police officer. Alright, I guess they got it on their cam. A 47-year-old William Morgan sits in Virginia Beach jail after police accused him of impersonating a police officer. He was arrested for a first conviction DWI, having a gun while under the influence and pretending to be a cop. Morgan went in front of a judge. Let's let the video load. Hey, old school. How are you? I guess this thing keeps rebooting. Maybe that's why I couldn't see, what's his name's page. How you doing, Tyrone? This thing hasn't loaded yet. Let me see. Ever said the hanging ended up off tonight.
Rain for the second part of the day. For tonight, we won't have rain, but we will have increasing clouds. And again, it's going to be about 10 to 15 degrees warmer tomorrow morning than it was this morning. Most of us in the mid-30s. And yes, the warming trend continues. When we're going to climb well into the 60s and when we can expect showers and maybe some thunderstorms. That's coming up in your first warning 7-day forecast.
The man
Drunk with a gun and pretending to be a cop. Those are the accusations Virginia Beach police are making against the local man.
And reporter Margaret Kavanaugh was inside the courtroom where the man faced a judge today.
47-year-old William Morgan waits in the Virginia Beach jail. He was arrested for DUI, having a gun while under the influence and pretending to be a cop.
When you start impersonating a police
come on, what is it?
officer, it's a serious matter in Virginia.
William Morgan appeared in front of a judge here at the Virginia Beach courthouse earlier today on a video screen. Our cameras were not allowed inside, but police say what happened at this intersection landed him in jail. Police say last night at around 8:30, an officer saw a dark-tinted white Crown Victoria with blue dash lights attempting to pull over a vehicle near London Bridge Road and Central Drive. The officer recognized this was not a cop car and pulled William Morgan over, according to police. People we spoke with praised that officer.
The police officer that pulled the person over was smart, first of all, because of the fact that evidently he acknowledged something about him to not look like a cop. Police officer was smart enough to take notice of it, so I salute him in his efforts to protect the city.
After court, we spoke with a woman who didn't want to be identified but described Morgan as a good guy who didn't do anything except for go to work and take care of the house. She said the charges seem out of character and she didn't believe the accusations. She said Morgan works part-time as a security guard and has never been in trouble in the past. Morgan's attorney told us he couldn't comment on the case because he just received it and didn't have all the details. We reached out to Morgan to request an interview with him, but he declined. He's expected to have a bond hearing tomorrow morning. In Virginia Beach, I'm Margaret Kavanaugh, News 3.
A retired carpenter from Illinois is honoring those killed in last week's devastating tornadoes in Alabama. Greg Zanis delivered 23 handmade crosses yesterday with the victim's name on each.
Oh, okay. All right. People always say that about people. You know, oh, they were so nice. I can't believe they did that. I mean, well, once in a while they say the person was weird or, they got bad vibes, but usually the people trick people into making them think they're. But I think that's just funny about the one with the cocaine on his nose, says it wasn't his. That is too funny. And then the one impersonating a cop in Florida pulled over a cop. He was eating people. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if YouTube is still having issues tonight. Wait a minute. Oh, that was Skype telling me they just took the rest of the money for their payment. 5 juveniles detained after fire engulfs Virginia Beach playground. Man only got 10 years for $19 million drug trafficking. Virginia Beach police apologize after officer offensive Facebook comment stirs controversy. Police engage in long-term gun. Oh, I already know that. Virginia Beach police officer injured after driving allegedly hits police vehicle while drunk. Puts too far. Oh, come on, what are you doing? I'm gonna have to give up on this because this is not acting right tonight. Why is it going so far? Man arrested after jumping in the water, escaped from police. He should have known better. They got boats. They got police boats. Man sentenced after Virginia Beach officer dragged during traffic stop. AK-47 found in trunk. Alright, I'm over reading the news right now. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube is buffering so much tonight. Sorry, just looking up some news. It's definitely gonna be an early night. Hey Patrick, how are you? Could be better. You're having a rough day. Oh brother, why do they do this fake news and show planes that they use to they put the tanks in them and hook them to computers. Oh, you had to take your brother to the hospital last night. How is he? Oh. Oh, wow. How old is your brother? Oh, he's young. Why does he have a hard time walking? Oh, you're 11 months apart. That's cute. Is that all you have is one brother? You have any sisters or other brothers? And some of these channels kill me. Hello, Nab. How are you? Had a slip, and his employer. Uh, yeah, I knew what you meant. Patrick. So some of these channels that are supposed to be Christians are misleading people with uh, certain uh, news articles, and I don't know for some of them. For some of them, I know that they're purposely doing it because I know where they got their stuff from. But others, I don't know if they actually believe what they put up or not. That's on their soul. But there's enough craziness going on in the world. I mean, total craziness with people, with animals, with the sun, with the moon, with the temperatures, with the winds, with the amount of rain and snow, with the volcanoes, with the UVC radiation, with everything. There's enough craziness and enough real news to report on that they don't need to make things up. But, you know, they do, and I keep seeing the same things recycled over and over and over and over and over. And you know. But people just jump right on the bandwagon and believe it and they won't go do the research, you know, and they'll swear by these channels. Oh, I got it from them. I know it's real. I'm like, okay. I mean, I pray that everybody has a discerning mind, you know, but they just build the fear up in people about everything and make them point fingers at other people, you know. And actually, sometimes fingers should be pointing back at the person bringing them the news because they're bringing them false information, you know. But whatever. I don't know. There was some people here a little while ago. There was Spencer and Dare and Randy and Glenn and um, Planet X Watcher and Tyrone and I can't remember who else. And then like the room buffed, buffered, and I don't know if they lost their connection or don't know. Because like we were in the middle of a conversation when it happened. It was not like they, said see you later or they weren't typing. We were in the middle of talking. So I don't know. Oh no, you're fine. It was like 30 minutes ago. They were like here for about an hour. We were talking, and then it buffered, and yeah, I know it's been acting up. Phones have been acting up. Everything's been acting up. But we have a lot of energy in the atmosphere. We have a lot of things going on up in the sky that's affecting everything, including people. But yeah, it's still, I don't know. It bothers me when I see channels putting out stuff that's not true and people buying into it. You know, there's enough uh, there's enough theories and conspiracies and real stuff too, and the extra isn't needed. So I don't know why people are trying to mislead people. Well, yeah, dude. Let me take that back. It's for hits. It's for hits on their channel. It's clickbait. And I know that I could be um, the same way and build the channel really quick. But I can't do that. I can't do that because I have to answer to God for what I do. So I can't do that. I'm always going to look for, you know, all the possibilities to something. and I'm going to weigh the stuff out, and I'm going to, well, the Holy Spirit does a pretty good job at guiding me anyway, but, you know, sometimes you just know stuff isn't what it is. Yeah, but see, that's the whole problem. So you got other people lying to them, telling them that everything else is a lie, right? And I mean, when does this stop? some of these some of these lies and conspiracies have just, you know, gone on too long, and I don't know. You know, and the one thing people, I mean, common sense should tell people, um, if some of this stuff was actually factual that they're presenting, they would have been shut down. They never would have got the stuff that they, you know, claim is, you know, secret evidence. Um, you know, there isn't. It's like this. If I had a secret, a government secret, they would already know that I was going to try to tell it before I tried to tell it. You know what I mean? They got algorithms. They got. They would know ahead of time what I was searching and what I was going to do. And if it was something really secretive or true that they didn't want known, I'd be stopped in my tracks. And it's that simple. Just like nobody has any inside information they're getting from their secret source at the White House or any other country, and giving it to everybody because they would, that person would have already been shut up, the one that was supplying the information. Um, and then, you know, these false documents and, you know, all this stuff anyway. And I'm not going to speak on anything specific right now because, you know, I just saw some stuff on a channel that is the same old fake. Well, the pictures aren't fake. Let me take that back. But they aren't what they're saying they are. They're presenting it as one thing, and that's not what they are. But, you know, there's hundreds, thousands of people that believe that. You know, like I could go take pictures of this plane that sits over there by our airport that's all burned up. It's all charred and everything. And the reason why is it's one of the ones the fire department and rescue and all practice with. And, you know, if there was a plane that landed that was on fire and yada, yada, yada. So they put tanks in them with water to weigh what people would weigh, different weights, like one of the tanks, and they have computers hooked up to them, and they measure different responses based on different things that could happen at different altitudes. Because, you know, I just went through plane crashes today from 1920 to now. Oh, thanks. um, and, you know, used to be a lot of people died in plane crashes. And they've gotten a lot better with them. I mean, but here lately there's been a lot more, but I think it's because there's something else in our atmosphere that's affecting affecting the flights, like something throwing the GPS off and other things. Then we got these crazy winds. And I told you I saw a plane fly sideways a couple of years ago in Chesapeake. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. I'm looking at a plane fly sideways. But he was caught in a wind shear, and apparently, so I had to go to the pilot site and read, their comments. And it's kind of like they compared it to being on a boat, and you have to go with sometimes you have to go with the current and the waves till you can get clear of it. So I found that interesting. But anyway, so I remember my brother came in, one of my biological brothers came in town, and he had called me because I was, we were getting ready to meet up. He's like, Judy, there's a plane on fire over here at the airport. And I'm like, yeah, I know. They set it on fire all the time. And they measure the heat in the heat in the cabin, how long it takes to get hot, how well the metal holds up. And then they measure the heat of the water to see how long it takes for, if those were humans in there, how long it would take for the heat to affect them. Then they test new sprinkler systems and airbag deployment and um, all the different stuff. So, oh yeah, wind shear is crazy. Can you imagine how the winds are down here? They are, I've seen some really super fast moving clouds that I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a cloud move that fast in my life. Yeah, I know. I got caught in some turbulence once. I was scared. And then one time my ears popped. It hurt so bad. I actually thought I was looking at people to see if they were looking at me strange. Like, 'cause I thought my ears were bleeding. That's how bad it hurt. Both of my ears. I had an ear infection, so I shouldn't have been on the flight, I guess. And, well, I had sinus infections that had affected my ears at that point or whatever. And I guess I shouldn't have been on the flight. I didn't know. I was coming back from New York. And oh my gosh. It was so painful. And I couldn't hear for a while either. And one of the guys that was the Navy SEAL, he was actually, he's in that movie about the first black Navy SEAL. They used him as an extra, but they needed his expertise on, to make the movie look legit. They actually hired him to go up there because he had been in the Navy 28 years at the time. They wouldn't let him retire. Anyway, he got somebody to get me some antibiotics for my ears. But he's retired now. He lives in Colorado, which is where he was from. We used to call him the short, angry man. We call him Sam, short, angry man. He had a little temper on him. So for one of his birthdays, since he was uh, in the military so long, and he had this thing about one little thing being wrong with somebody's uniform if they came in. So we had hired a go-go dancer for his birthday, right? And we had her dressed as a chief petty officer in the Navy. And so she comes in and pretends like, she's a chief petty officer getting off work. And he's having a fit because her shirt's unbuttoned and, you know, uh, you know, and her hair is hanging down, which is supposed to be pinned up when she's in uniform. And he was having a fit over there, getting angry about her uniform. And, he walks over there to tell her how she's disgracing the military, coming in there wearing her uniform like that. She's just like, this? So you mean if I just like took this shirt off in here and threw it over the chair, I'd be disrespecting my uniform? And so she took her shirt off, and he was, oh man, he was losing it. And we're like, calm down. She's not really in the Navy. It's not a real Navy uniform. She's your birthday present. It took him about 20 minutes to calm down. He was so riled up. Anyway, that was back in the day. Back before the Holy Spirit was truly guiding me. Before I got closer to God. It was funny though. So I don't think I'm gonna keep the show going much longer. Not tonight. I still don't have my car fixed. And still haven't gotten a ride to the store anywhere. And, well, yeah, I guess there is. But, I know there's a lot of, around here, there's a lot of people that pretend to be vets out on corners begging for money. So I talked to this one once, right? And I stopped and I was like, I can get you some help. And I was like, come on and I'll buy you some lunch and I'll give you a ride to the program that'll help you. And you'll have a place to stay tonight. And, because they're all about helping vets. And they'll get you set up to where you can get your money and, everything, all the rights that you have. He didn't want any help. And I was like, so which war were you in? First he said World War II. I'm like, really? How old are you? 38. I said, oh, okay. Well, you realize you weren't even around when that war was going on, right? I said, so, which war were you in? Oh, I mean, I was in, that place overseas. I was like, Vietnam? Yeah, I was in Vietnam. I said, oh, you realize you're not old enough to have been in that war either, right? Oh, no, not that one, not that one. I said, oh, you were in the war with Australia. He's like, yeah, that one. I said, oh, okay. I said, well, we haven't been to war with Australia, so I'm like, you know what, dude, I'm done with you. And then, I told him how bad it was to pretend to be a vet in need when you're not. And then I told him I could get him a job that day if he wanted a job. And I'd give him a ride over there. And I still would beat him. He was like, no, it's okay. Whatever. Yeah, he was hilarious. He was in World War II, and then he was in the Vietnam War, and then he was in the war, the AA War, America against Australia. I'm like, haha. From 77 to 87. Yeah, the Cold War. Yeah, that guy was funny. I was like, yeah, you at least need to know. You gotta have some facts if you're gonna be lying like that. Because people are gonna want to ask you. You claim to be a vet. Mm. I remember that one guy. He had folded his legs up inside some pants and made it look like he didn't have, you know, the lower part of his legs. And I mean, he obviously tied them so they wouldn't, move around. And he rolled around on his belly on a skateboard or something similar to that. Around, I think that was in New York, begging people for money. And somebody recognized him, and so they busted him on camera. He actually had his legs folded up and tied so they wouldn't move. And which is bad when people do that because they make it hard for the people that really need help. You know. Well, that's with any lie. There's a reason why lying is a sin, and when you perpetrate a fraud, you know, if you cry rape and you weren't raped, that's bad for the women that actually are. The mothers going through a divorce or something and get their children to lie that daddy did something inappropriate or vice versa. You know, then that's bad. That makes it hard for the children that actually are abused. Um, there is no lie that doesn't have negative ramifications. It was put on alert with several times back, and people thought we're going to war. Yeah, yeah, I remember. Well, my daughter's father was he was in the army in Kuwait. My ex-husband was actually um, on the Kennedy, and the Kennedy had pulled in port, was scheduled to pull in port, and they were just out, doing you know, their cruises like they have to take, and so they were scheduled to pull in port in St. Thomas. That's how I got to go to St. Thomas. Me and a bunch of ladies that had husbands on the ship got this discount package deal, and all of us went to St. Thomas to be with our husbands for 3 days because they were going to be in port for 3 days. Well, they got off the ship and came in, and one of the guys, and they told them all too. They're like, "Look, the traffic drives on the opposite side of the street, so make sure you look to your right for oncoming traffic before you step off the curb." And one of the first guys that got off the ferry, because you had to, the ship couldn't pull in that close, so the ship had to sit out, and the guys had to come in on the ferry. So one of the first guys that got off the ferry stepped right in front of a bus, stepped off the curb, used to looking to the left for oncoming traffic, you know, for here in the, this part of the U.S., and stepped right off in front of a bus, and it killed him. Anyway, um, that night the ship got called out to war. I was so upset. I was ready to leave then. I didn't even want to stay and enjoy the island. I was so upset my husband had to leave. Oh, I think that was 1990, 90 or 90, 91 maybe. I remember, because right after that I got diagnosed with a brain tumor. But might have been 90. No, it had to be 91. 91, 92. Huh, I only got one thing left from that too. I don't know how I got that left. I guess I carried it in my car. It's a little shell from St. Thomas with two fake palm trees on it. I don't even have my pictures left of me in my bikini standing in that beautiful, clear blue, aqua blue water, because it looks aqua blue till you get it in it, then it's clear like bathtub water. But that's because it reflects the sky. But I have them on my old hard drive. I just had on my old desktop unit. I haven't put it together in a few years. I should do that though. Get my pictures off of there. My memories. I guess YouTube is still acting up, or the internet's still acting up, or something. Wasn't acting up that bad because uh, Skype was sure able to get their payment off of so the internet was working for them and for my little Western Union card. Maybe I'm targeted as one of those channels. Okay, now I'm just being funny. Oh, I haven't seen daughter in a couple of days. I hope she's okay. Maybe she went off, or Tamara. Maybe she went off the grid again. Don't know. Sorry, I'm just looking up some news. You're holding muster exercise in the USSR in Afghanistan. Right. The oldest written story on Earth, the Anunnaki. They can call them the Anunnaki, but it could have been the giants, the Nephilim. I haven't actually read that story, but I guess I should. Right, I hear you. I know people don't believe in coincidence. They think it's all, everything's a conspiracy. Like we were actually scheduled for that Saturday before the mass murder happened on a Friday. That Saturday, Virginia Beach actually had it scheduled for people to. I mean, it's been they've had 7 of them, 7 annual of these things already. So this would have been the 8th one, where it's I forgot the name of it, but anyways, to prepare people for if there was an event like that, right? And so they had the public join in and teach people, what to look for, what to do, different kind of scenarios, like if you're in a mall or if you're in a movie theater, or in some public arena where these things happen at, what to do to try to stay alive, and how to help others. And then the police get to practice, and SWAT team gets to everybody gets to practice on different scenarios, and it's a preparedness thing because this is happening so much. And of course people try to say, oh yeah, see, they had this scheduled. And then there was a fake ad on Craigslist from 2018. Some modeling agency, supposedly modeling agency, but the whole thing's a scam. They're not even a modeling agency. So they had all these different ads for all different kinds of things they could hire you for. But a lot of those fake ads on Craigslist, what it is they tell you you have to go on Facebook and join this group, and then you'll get the information. Well, then once you have to pay for this group, right? And then you have to give your credit card information, and then you can't ever like stop paying them. You have to go through all this trouble to stop payment. And I mean, the scams were for renting rooms, for buying houses, for getting jobs, for getting modeling jobs, for getting voice acting jobs, and all that. I mean, you name it. And cars, buying cars. They had everything up there. It was all these different scams. And they're still running it. I mean, they were busted 7 years ago in California. They're still running these ads. Um, anyway, Craigslist is doing nothing about it, and they are just inundated with these fraudulent things. So I got to wonder if they're actually part of it, because many news affiliates have been to them and asked them why are they allowing this, and they claim, oh, we're cracking down on. They ain't cracked down on it a bit. 90% of Craigslist now is that's what it is, and I mean, it'll seem innocent. Somebody's got a dog, some puppies for sale, or they show you pictures of a house, and you can rent a room, and they always make it sound really good. And each story's a little different. But then when somebody, and they have local phone numbers to text you with too. So, you reply on the thing and you give them your phone number, and then they text you and tell you, they send you a link to go on to Facebook. And anyway, so they had that for that too. And they had an ad up there, a fake ad, that the U.S. military was looking for crisis actors in Virginia Beach for um, for different scenarios, right? And well, first of all, the U.S. military is not going to go on Craigslist and advertise for anything. And um, anyway, it was all a scam, but somebody bought into that, and they were posting that as part of the thing, like, oh, look, this was on Craigslist by the U.S. military. And it wasn't, the U.S. military. It was this fake modeling agency, actor, comedian, hiring, fake job thing. I mean, right now, the algorithms, I can type in, it doesn't matter what I type in, funeral, it doesn't matter what words you use, and these ads will pop up looking for a job in death jobs hiring, looking for a job in, it doesn't matter what word you type up. When you're searching for something, at the very bottom of the Google thing, it will give you these ads, and it will say there's a job for this, paying good money. It's crazy. Maybe they got rid of it. That would be cool. But there is so much deception even when it comes to jobs now. You can't trust the job sites like Indeed. You can't trust Indeed because a lot of the scammers come from there, um, which was one of the sites around here. The only one you can really trust is the Virginia Employment Commission. When you're looking for jobs, the rest of them now are, they're selling their ads they're selling ad rights to people scamming. And then they send you fake links to jobs that don't exist. You know, it's an ad to an ad to an ad to an ad that doesn't exist. On D-Day, Utah Beach and the Germans were holding an exercise to stop the Allies from landing. And they really landed to wow. Yeah, well, like I said, our military would not be advertising on Craigslist. I can guarantee you that. And they wouldn't be advertising with some ad some Looney Tune ad agency either, some modeling agency. You know what I mean? That's not how the military does anything they do around here. Yeah, Craigslist around, I started having trouble with Craigslist probably 10 years ago. And then I tried to use it last year, trying to find a room for rent. And it was scam after scam after scam. And then, ironically, my son-in-law had to go to Maryland, and he was trying to find a room up in Maryland, until he could sell his house down here and move my daughter and the kids up there. So he was going to be up there and then coming back here on weekends. So he was just trying to rent a room, for 6 months. Well, he was going on Craigslist, and it was scam after scam after scam. There were no real rooms for rent. And then, finally he found somebody. But it was ridiculous. What, Charles? Welcome back. What we got to check out? Who wants to be an alien? She wants to be an alien. Who? Who wants to be an alien? What, that's what you want me to type in? She wants to be an alien? No, this is what the video is about. What video? Um, well, it's too late. You can't be an alien if you were born on Earth. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen people do some crazy stuff to their bodies. Makes no sense. None at all. I mean, people are getting their tongue split in half and, putting those big holes in their earlobes. Yes. You know, next thing you know, somebody will be getting their whole body tattooed green or something. I mean, there's people that have had all kinds of surgeries. Yeah, you can't be an alien. You were born here. You can't be an alien. That's, no matter what you do to your body, that's crazy. Just like you can't, if you were born a woman, you were born a woman no matter what you do, surgery-wise. And you were born a man, you were born a man, no matter what you do, surgery-wise. You were born a horse, you're a horse. It's all right, I can imagine. Huh? Hey there, welcome back. Huh? Did I change my channel? I don't know, I guess YouTube and Google were acting up tonight. Yeah, the world is going crazy. So this guy got pulled over, and he had white powder on his nose, and he had a bag of cocaine and some other stuff. And anyway, he told the officer that the cocaine in his nose wasn't his. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, Charles Wilson, you have a blessed night. No, that was Charles that came in and was telling me about this lady that wants to be an alien. And apparently that's what she had done so she could be an alien. Crazy people in the world. And it's getting crazier by the day. And I can't find what I'm looking for. Haha, you're funny. Yeah, people are, yeah, they're losing it. And everything's acceptable. I remember a few years ago where if you had a tattoo, even a tiny tattoo that was visible, you couldn't get a job at a lot of places. Okay, have a blessed night, Charles. I probably won't be here later. I'm not staying on much longer. Um, I've been talking for 2 hours and 43 minutes. So, um, anyway, okay, so years ago, um, like my sister had a tiny, tiny, tiny tattoo on her thumb, or close to her thumb, and she couldn't get a job until she had it covered. So she had to get like skin color tattoo over top of her tattoo to cover it. And it was like that everywhere. If you had a visible tattoo, people weren't hiring you. If their uniform required, you know, if their uniform was showed your tattoo, then you weren't allowed to work there. And now, it's normal to be covered in tattoos, and people think you're strange if you don't have any tattoos. And that wasn't that long ago. Yeah, God bless you, Charles. Have a good night. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with tattoos. If people want to get tattoos, that's their business. But I'm just looking at how the world looked at it a few years back when you couldn't even get hired if you had visible tattoos, especially women. Some men, like if they had been in the Navy or whatever, and they kind of let them slide because back in the day, it was Navy guys that came back with tattoos, and then it was the Harley bike rider guys that would have them. But outside of that, it wasn't the norm, and you couldn't get a job if your tattoo showed. And now people got their face tattooed, their necks, I mean, full legs, full arms, sleeves as they call them. Oh, not here. You don't have to cover them anymore. I guess depending. I don't know. I was going to say depending on what kind of job you're trying to get, but I don't even think that anymore. I don't think it matters at all because and like I said, it doesn't matter. If somebody wants to use their body as a canvas and have stuff painted all over it, that's their business. I've seen some tattoos that I thought were really tasteful. I've seen some that I like, and if they're in the right spot and they're done well, some of them really look decent, you know. And then I see some that just look like dirt, when the person's at a little distance, it looks like they got dirt on them, because it's a bad tattoo and it's in a bad spot and it just doesn't look like artwork. But it's what they want to do with their body, so can't judge a person for that. If they want to put drawings, permanent drawings on their body, that's their business, and it um, doesn't reflect on their morality or their ethics. I don't judge people on their tattoos. I just remember when everybody did and would let them get jobs. And the body piercings, the same thing. Like if you had a nose ring, you had to take that out to work. You know, you couldn't have eyebrow rings and lip rings and, all the stuff that they got now, the piercings. But now that's common too. And again, that's, personal choice. If you want to do that to your body, that's fine. It's your body. Now, the one I have a problem with is the abortion law, and these women fighting for it's my body. I have the right to do what I want with my body. Well, what about that child's right? That's a body too. What about that child's body? You got the right to tear it up and destroy it, and we were fed that. If you don't have God and you don't have that discerning ability, you buy into that world. It's your right, and you shouldn't have to carry a baby for 9 months. You know, if you don't want it. And well, I see that different nowadays. What about that body's right? That's a body inside you. So you're gonna be inconvenienced for 9 months. Get over it. That's a life. I just think there should be more options available, adoption options and medical options, and I guess some women are scared they're gonna lose their job, and how they're gonna take care of themselves, and they don't know who the father is, or the father was a one night stand, or you know whatever. I don't know. But I was reading an article today where all these women are saying I have the right to do what I want with my body, and I'm like, so does that child have a right? That baby, that has arms and legs and a head and all of that. It's a body. It has a right. Your inconvenience of 9 months shouldn't take away a whole lifetime of that body's rights. But I get it in cases where if you're not Christian and you don't have that faith that God will make it work out. I get it where, the doctors say, well, you probably won't be able to live if you try to carry this baby. So I get the decision, in that case. But not even in rape cases, because though I know that's a hard one. That's very hard. That's very hard on the woman to be carrying a baby knowing it was conceived that way. But I know someone personally that he was the product of rape, and he's a wonderful young man, and I can guarantee you he's glad his mother didn't abort him since he was a product of rape, and incest at that. He was a product of incest rape. So I guarantee you he's happy his mom didn't choose that option. He's 30 some years old now. Maybe close to 40. Yeah, he should be close to 40. guarantee you, he's glad his mom didn't choose that option back then. And I'm sure he had some hard times growing up knowing that, you know. Knowing that his family member was his great uncle and his father. And knowing that it was, you know, a violent thing that he done to get, you know. But, and so I'm sure he had some tough moments, but he's gotten over all that. And, you know, he's got children now. So, yeah, it is there. Like I said, you know, back in the day when that option wasn't there, then, you know, people that believed in God turned it over to God. And I know a woman that was, her mother died when she gave birth to her. I mean, she's dead now too, but um, she grew up hating her father because she blamed her father for making her mom have kids, you know, keep having kids after the doctor said it was too dangerous for her. And she died giving birth. And that would have been 70, 80 years ago. I'm trying to think how old she would be. She would have been now, maybe 90 years ago. See, because they don't see it as a kid, they don't see that. They, you know, they've been told that, you know, but they used to tell them that back then that they didn't have a heartbeat. They weren't developed. That they couldn't, since they couldn't live outside the woman's um, abdomen, that they weren't really alive yet because they couldn't live on their own. So they weren't really a baby yet, is what, you know, they told them. And back before they had um, the technology that they have now, that you can see it's a whole baby in there. You can see the fingers and the nose and, you know, the arms and the legs, and you can see them sucking their thumb and everything now. Back then you couldn't, so women, you know, fell for the lie. They didn't feel pregnant yet, you know. Um, they didn't feel like they were carrying a baby, so someone could tell them, you know, it's not a baby yet. It's only a centimeter big, and, you know. So I guess that's how it started, how the, you know, how believing the lie started. And then, even though they have the technology now to show you that it is a baby, and they do have a heartbeat a lot sooner than people used to claim, um, this fight for the right to do what you want with your own body thing has grown so strong, it's stupid. And people's morals and ethics have just washed away, you know, inch by inch, movie by movie, song by song, law by law. You know, it's become so accepted as a norm. I think a lot of them don't even think about it. They don't think about it because it's the norm. It's what society tells them is okay, and they grow up hearing it. You know, as they're kids, they hear it on the TV, the news, whatever is playing in the background. They hear it. They hear you know, adults talking about it. They hear it, so it's already in the back of their mind without them even know. thinking about it. So they grow up with that thought, and if they don't, you know, I don't know. Satan is very tricky. He has definitely led people way off track, and they get further and further and further and further away from the morals and ethics that used to be. Like where families used to take care of one another, and even in back before Jesus was born, they were, the when the groom got ready to get married, he went home and built an addition onto his father's house for him and his bride. And now you got old people being abused and living on the streets, and being abused in these old folks' homes, and their family doesn't go see them. And okay, Daryl, you have a beautiful night. God bless you, young man, and your wife, Steph. Tell her I said hello. We always appreciate seeing you. Yeah, I gotta set these alarms. I have no clue what time he's gonna be calling in the morning. Mm-mm. Um, second here. All right, thanks, Daryl. Have a blessed night. All right, I need that one on. I need that one on. I need to change the time on this one. Change the time on this one. I think that's enough. All right, sorry about that. Set these alarms. Oh, I think I'll play a little chuck, maybe. Oh, let me check on the weathers. Make sure there's no warnings. And Texas always got the thing showing up. I don't think there's any active warnings right now. Nope, no warnings at all. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, it's the first time in a month they haven't had some active warning going. That is a beautiful thing. 0 severe warnings. Unless that's not working right now too because of some internet issue, which is always a possibility. But, a lot of rain in Virginia and in North Carolina. But no severe warnings. So that's a good thing. Wait a minute. Why is... How many times are they going to send me this message? Hmm. Okay. They didn't take it out twice. I don't think so. Alright, so no active warnings. Let me clear this. Hide it in the background. Oh, yeah, those all expired. Okay. Those were the warnings from earlier. They expired. That's a good thing. Actually, didn't see any, while I was looking anyway, I didn't see any tornado warnings. The last one was for Virginia, for Amelia, Brunswick, Dinwiddie, Lunenburg, Nottoway, and Prince Edward counties, but they're all expired. So it might have been up there near Randy and Glenn and Jane. I haven't seen Jane in a while. I wonder how she's doing. I haven't seen Karen either. Maybe I've been coming on too late for them. I don't know. I know LD had her son's graduation party this weekend, and a bunch of family in town that she was cooking for and stuff. So, yeah, yeah, people be, you know, busy doing other things. No, brother. Ladybug or Papa. Man. Anyway. Sorry, I was looking at some crazy news. What? Oh, the Lord's Prayer. Well, his statement was um, the part where it goes, "Lead us not into temptation." He said it wasn't translated correctly from Hebrew to start with, and so it shouldn't have read, "Lead us not in temptation," which would seem to imply that the Lord would lead us into sin, and we know the Lord wouldn't. So I get his point on it, you know, and I don't say lead us not into temptation anyway. Just like I don't say give us our daily bread. When I say it, I say thank you for our daily bread, and thank you for not, for giving us the ability to fight sin and temptation. And I thank him for forgiving us of our sins, and I thank him for instilling it in us to forgive others, because if we don't forgive others, we won't be forgiven. So personally, when I say the Lord's Prayer, I started off like Jesus did, but I actually changed the words myself, because Jesus gave us an example. He didn't say, this is what you have to say when you pray. They asked for an example, how should we pray? And so the Lord's Prayer was not properly translated. And of course, this is something that should have been brought up, um, 1,000 years ago or more, but it wasn't. So I think at this point, so many people say the Lord's Prayer as it's written in English anyway. And so what's the point of changing it now? Like I said, I mean, I understand it, because, yeah, we know God does not lead us into temptation, so why would we say lead us not into temptation? But the way it's worded, if you were speaking Old English, you could say it that way and it not mean, that he let, you know, it could mean, without putting all the words in there, the same thing as, thank you for preventing us, from being tempted. So that was his thing on trying to change the Lord's Prayer. Yeah, right. It's a guide. Exactly. Yeah, he didn't say we had to say this verbatim. This is how the prayer has to go. He was giving them an example of what to pray for and how to pray. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your precious name. That's what I say. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Your will, and I always say that part slow, your will. So I actually think about his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Instead of saying, give us our daily bread, I say, thank you for our daily bread. You know, and thank you for forgiving us of our trespasses. And thank you for teaching us to forgive others. So, I can't read a whole lot into that as far as that being evil, because he's right, it wasn't translated properly if you go back into Hebrew and Greek. And, of course, none of us really know what it said in Aramaic. But, so, I got to agree with him on that one. But, and I don't see there's a big point in it at this point in time, because it's been rehearsed that way forever. But I guess for somebody that's coming into knowing about Christ and the Holy Father, I guess hearing the Lord's Prayer would confuse them if they don't know already, because God doesn't lead you into temptation. So, like I said, it should have been changed thousands of years ago. Actually, that the translation should have been corrected then. So, but everybody's running with it. He's changing the Lord's Prayer, and as if it's some big sin, because everybody wants to pick on the Pope. Is the Pope, has he done some crazy things? Has he said some things that don't seem to be in line with Scripture? Yes. But is this one of them? No. So I got to call it like I see it. That's my opinion. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but whatever, people they gotta have that clickbait, and they want to keep people on that pointing fingers thing, and keep them in that um, everything everybody else does is wrong kind of thing, way of thinking, and I try to be fair. I disagree with a lot of what the Pope has done and said, a lot of it. I disagree with a lot of the Vatican, but I can't disagree with something simply because I disagree with them on a lot of other issues. I don't disagree with that one. I don't think it really matters at this point, but whatever. People are going to run with it. It's just like these same pictures that keep going around about these planes that they use, that they fill water with, and have each one connected to a computer. They fill them with different amounts of water to represent people's body weight, so they can um, determine different things for safety when people are passengers in planes at different altitudes, how the plane's going to respond, how the body weight shifts if the plane does what, and so they want to know all the effects it has on the plane itself and the flight, or being able to regain control, and the whole nine. And one of the ways they determine things in an accident, like if they're, just like the fire department, one of the ways they determine how they do their forensics is by doing these things, creating scenarios as best they can. Since humans are 70% water, they use water weight in these tanks. And they heat it, body temperatures, and then they measure body temperature. If this happens to the plane, they measure all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of science in it, and that's how they've gotten better at these huge planes being able to fly without a lot of issues until here lately. I mean, unless there's pilot error, but the mechanics of the planes have worked pretty well in the past. Um, we've seen a lot more crashes this year, for strange reasons that we don't even know yet. But anyway, that's why they do that stuff, so that if they have to investigate something, they have some forensic science behind it, because in their test, they have, figured this, and this out. And same reason the fire department sets fires, so that they can, you know, have some knowledge with their forensic science when they're trying to determine the cause of a fire. That's how they can walk in and tell if it's arson, and where it started at, and what kind of chemical was used, because they've done all that. They've set fires with that chemical, and that chemical, so they could see how it burned. So anyway, like I said, when people claim things are something that they're not, then when it makes it hard for people to believe anything else. And then all of it is still the distraction, is taking the focus off God, because people are running around, believing all this stuff. And if I had time if I took time to research everything that I know is, let's talk about false flags. Well, these are false flags. Some of these contrived conspiracies. There are conspiracies, yes, and sometimes there's some truth in some of these. But when you got to present false evidence to back it up, and then the other channels believe it, and then they start carrying the same thing. Before you know it, people are believing it because 10 channels say the same thing. Well, they're all saying it because that one said it, and they believe that one, or they know it's not true too, and they're using it as clickbait. So, oh, that's the struggling little AC unit in the window. I tried cleaning it. Um, I got some of it clean, but there's parts of it you actually can't reach. You can't get it. I can't take it apart. I took all the vent covers off and all that, and cleaned the coils, but there's areas of it I can't even get to. So it at least it takes the humidity out of the room. You know what I mean? Like, it'll still get warm in here, but it's not to where you can't stand it, because believe me, it gets like 130 degrees upstairs. So at least it makes it bearable. Because the rest of the house is really hot. But it is cooler. It stays cooler downstairs. Even though there's no air down there. Sometimes it gets really hot um, when it's real hot outside. But it's still always like 20 degrees cooler than it is up here. But anyway, Let me see if this will work. Um, was that Google? Yeah, that's not the one I want. That is not it. That was what I covered earlier today.
Will be an alien visitor of some kind. What on earth is going on?
Come on, what are you doing? It's about transhumanism.
That's a supernatural. There's supernatural warfare where you and I are both the puppets and the prizes. That's what's going on. The transhumanists are totally oblivious to that. They have no grasp of that. When you open up a communication channel in our software, we might call it soul, spirit, whatever, it yields access permission that is not reversible.
Is that
Those
too
of you that saw
loud?
The Exorcist, that was William Blatty's novel was based on case study. And what started that whole nightmare was a gal playing, it was a guy, not a gal, but that's not the point. It was based on case studies. Fooling around with the Ouija board, which is an entry. And some of these video games and so forth are potentially entries. Let's take a look at the scripture here a little bit. We're all familiar with Nebuchadnezzar's dream of Daniel 2 and also Daniel 7, the different set of idioms, but same subject really. And we all know about the four empire, the gold, silver, brass, and iron, and the Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome. We've all been there. But when you get to verse 43 of Daniel 2, where Daniel is explaining all this to Nebuchadnezzar, he gets to this peculiar stuff called the iron mixed with clay. Everyone remembers the legs are iron and the feet were iron mixed with clay. Verse 43 says, whereas thou sawest, speaking to, this is Daniel explaining to Nebuchadnezzar, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, he switches to a personal pronoun, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. What's he talking about? Nobody knows. I tell you, we do know. That